only one of those roles and nothing else. Some muscles can multitask more than one of those roles, and they're the ones that are more difficult. But that's what we spend time on the courses, understanding that difference, and then, okay, what we're going to do about it. When we've got structured ways of retraining those different roles, depending on what our assessment tells us. Okay.
시간이 별로 없으니까.
Actually, just along that point, there's one other interesting point that I've noticed over the years is that, well, because I know my son graduated from physiotherapy 2 years ago as well. So I know what's in the courses. And then one of the things that's very interesting is that functional anatomy textbooks have not changed muscle function, okay, in the last 40 years. So the functional anatomy textbooks say that muscles do the same thing that trained when I was 45 years ago when I was a student. Okay, so now muscle information has changed. So if we look, and this is what we spend a lot of time in, we review the literature. So we look at the anatomy journals, we look at the biomechanics journals, we look at the pain neurophysiology journals, okay, and look at how muscle function changes and look at the neurophysiology. So one of the things that's interesting is that, yeah, in terms of descriptive anatomy and the anatomy textbooks, they update the pictures every year, they describe a description, but functional anatomy textbooks have not changed very much in the last 45 years. Okay, it still says that psoas is a hip flexor. Okay, yeah, psoas can't flex the hip. It's a very inefficient hip flexor. Okay, it's got zero potential to flex your hip through full range. It doesn't get short. There's no evidence of it ever in the literature being measured short. But we've reviewed this. But psoas major is a multitasking muscle. It multitasks a local stabilizer role and a global stabilizer role. It doesn't do any mobilizer work at all, which is what we're all taught. So one of the things that's interesting is that 15% of muscles in the last 45 years have changed function. But the functional anatomy textbooks have not updated that. Our courses do. Okay, but you know, functional anatomy has changed. All the information that we teach is in the literature, but it's in anatomy journals. It's in neurophysiology. It's in neuroscience journals. It's in biomechanics. Okay, it's in pathology journals. Okay, but functional anatomy textbooks have not changed one little bit. Okay, yeah, or occasionally something has changed. There's lots of online debate about certain things, which is good because that means people are thinking that maybe there's some changes. But it's about 15% of muscles when we look at classifying them in terms of their functional roles. Yeah, and not everyone will use those terms. But if we think about the terms that people use to describe muscle functional roles, it'll tend to be one of those three. If we look at how we describe them, it'll be one of those three jobs because they're really the only jobs that muscles are going to do. And what makes it interesting though is that when people argue about which job muscles are meant to do, sometimes they're trying to make muscles do only one job, and where they're really talking about is a multitasking muscle that can do more than one job. And someone's looking at this side and someone's looking at that side, so they're not realizing that this muscle can do more than one job, which is one of the unique things about a lot of the muscles. That, and again, we try to make sure we classify that way as we go through our courses too, so it becomes clear. The reason why there's conflicting information in the literature is because two different people are seeing the two different roles of the same muscle.